Hey guys, welcome to another Creative Search Strategies. Today I'm honored to have a guest who specializes in creating software and helping businesses get a better placement in local maps. And so Aaron Dwyer, who's from WebSmart Central today, will walk us through some basic claiming of our business listings in Google, and we'll also talk about some optimization of what you can do within your Google Places, within local search to try to help you get better placement. Aaron has a background in web development, and how I stumbled upon him was actually found a software that allows you to check where your rank is in the local maps at any given time, which is kind of difficult to do without having to go to Google every 5 seconds to look. You can use this software, and it's a local rank tracker. I'll let Aaron talk more about it in a minute, but it's a pretty neat little tool. It's kind of a tracking tool to give yourself kind of a gut check of where you are in terms of rank in local maps. So let's without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to hand the baton over to Aaron. Aaron doesn't have his webcam on, so unfortunately you're going to be stuck with my picture but Aaron's voice. So here you go.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Can everyone hear me okay? Fantastic. Rightio, let's jump straight into it. Today, we're going to be talking about Google local listings, and I also want to throw in a few optimization tips. And what we'll do is Steve's actually going to do a wrap up at the end with some extra information as well of some new technologies that are coming out for Google Local, which I think is fantastic. So I'll run through the meat and potatoes, I guess you could say, of the presentation, and then Steve can do a wrap up with his new information on Google Local. So a little bit about me. I've been working online since 1995. I own a couple of different companies. WebSmart Central is my software company, and that has underneath its little umbrella 4 software products so far. I'm currently working on, as Steve mentioned, the 5th software product, which is the local rank tracker software, and hopefully that will be coming out probably in the next month or so. So I also have an offline biz, about as offline as I'm ever going to get, and that's a web hosting and web marketing company. So it is still online, but it's basically it's an offline business. I deal with local Australian businesses on a daily basis, so that's my offline biz. I have 4 software products, as I mentioned. I've also got information products in non-internet marketing niches, and that's your everyday garden variety information products that some of you may be familiar with. I also have an iPhone app in a health related niche, so it's good to be online in this day and age. There's actually there's a picture of my software products, and Steve has actually dressed up all my slides with some lovely pictures, so thanks very much, Steve, for that. And he's actually thrown in a picture of the local rank tracker software there. So anyway, we might discuss that a little bit later on as it pertains to the conversation, but let's get straight into it. Rightio, Google Places. If you don't know what Google Places is, it's basically when you do a search, and in the search results, Google have now integrated in map results with normal organic search results, and you can tell by the little tiny red tags. I'm sure you've seen them. And a little bit of background, the Google local search has been going since 2007, and in October 2010 they actually did that merging that I just spoke about, where the organic results met with the Google Maps, and hence Google Places was born. What's basically happened here is that organic results used to be the be-all and end-all. You used to always want to get your website into the #1 organic search result position. What's happened now with Google Places is for local searches, which I've seen statistics anywhere ranging from 20 to 40% of searches are local searches. So that would be where you're typing in a search phrase such as plumber and then an actual suburb or location after that or before, and it's a location based search. If you do one of those searches, you'll end up with a Google Places results which sit on top of the search results. So in the past, where you used to be number one, all of a sudden you've been pushed down the page. If you've got yourself a really good local business with a local with a local business listing in Google, then what happens is that it merges both your search results in the organic and the Google Maps local listing that you've got. We'll run through it in more detail. I'd like to just quickly open up to a poll. I want to know if any of you guys are applying SEO to your business website. Have you claimed your local Google listing? So I'll just see if I can quickly get a poll going. So I've thrown a poll up on the screen. Have you claimed your local business listing in Google Places? Okay, four out of five. 4 out of 5. That's great. The slides that we're going to show you for optimization is going to help, that's for sure. So let's go ahead. Let's get started with your listing. So for most of you guys, you've already claimed or set up your local listing, and that's great. There are things to note though. You must be careful with how you optimize your listing. For those who haven't claimed their listing or created a listing, the idea is to get clear in your mind what your main keyword is that you want to target. And as I mentioned before, plumber, if you're a plumbing business, it would be plumber and then the location, or it might be plumbing contractor. You need to check around, do some searches, use the Google keyword tool to have a look at what sort of numbers, what sort of search numbers are related to those terms. Have a look at existing businesses that already have Google local places. As soon as you do a search for your what you believe is your main term with a location based, you'll see the different results that come back. There will already be businesses in that listing. You can simply have a look at their places page for each of those businesses to try and work out how they've positioned themselves. And obviously it's not a good idea to copy directly from those listings, but what you're after is a gauge and a guide as to, okay, these guys are on the front page of Google for Google Places. They've been given the A, B, C, D, E, and then you want to work out, well, why are these guys here? So it's a little bit of research. Now I highly recommend, and for those of you who have already commenced your Google listing, it's going to be more difficult for you to do this technique, but get a unique Google account. And by that I mean use an email that's tied in with your actual domain name. So if you've got, for example, I'm in Brisbane, Australia, and if I was a plumber, I would be trying to get plumberbrisbane.com.au as my domain name. If I had that domain name, I would register a Google account under, it'd be my name or info@plumberbrisbane.com.au, something generic that's tied with the business itself, so that all of your Google tools, so you've got Webmaster Tools, Analytics, AdWords, AdSense, YouTube, the list goes on. Google has a huge range of tools. What you can do is that should the business be sold, or sometime down the track we need to hand over to somebody else, then the Google account is not tied with your any personal emails. It's all wrapped up within the business. So every time I get a new client on board, I always make sure that they have a unique Google account that has been set up with the business name intact, so that it's all tied together with the business and there's no personal or cross emails with anybody or any personal effects. Rightio. So to claim or create your listing, it's very, very simple. You find your listing in the Google search results, and there will be a little link to say, are you the business owner? And you can then claim it. So the idea here is you would type in your business name. Straight into Google, you would type in your business name. You would go to Google Maps, type in your business name. You're trying to find whether or not Google has referenced your business in its database, and it gets information from, could be from Yellow Pages, Census, any other sort of third-party, I guess you could say, business listing directory, and Google will, or has in the past, seeded its Google Places with existing businesses. What you then do is, once you've found your actual business listing, you can claim it. I might actually show, let's just have a store, any, just going to start screen sharing. Okay. So you go to Google Maps and you would type in your business name. And I have a client here in Brisbane. I may as well make them famous. And there they are there. So if I go to the actual Places page, up here where it says Owner Verified Listing, if this listing wasn't claimed, then that would say, are you the business owner? And you could simply click that link there, and you would then start claiming the business listing. Let's jump back to the slides. Or you can simply go to Google local ad, google.com/local/ad, and that will get you into the business listing area for Google. And that applies to all countries, and it's not necessarily US based. Right, I thought what we'd do is we'd run through and workshop a listing. Steve has actually put some lovely images in here, so we should be able to either go straight off those, or if we want to, we can even workshop a live listing right now. I don't mind which way we go. What we've got here is a basic page. I might actually, just before we get to this slide, I might actually just bring up one of mine to show you something that's not in these slides. So I'll just go here. Sorry, back to screen sharing. That would help. And I might just ask, when I'm in screen sharing mode, can everybody see the screen correctly? Okay, great. Just wanted to check that. Thanks, guys. Okay, back to screen sharing. So let's go to... Here we are. I've even got in my little history. Okay, so when you log in to your Google Places, once you've claimed your listing, you'll get a bunch of statistics show up on your dashboard, which is wonderful. And when you're in this screen, this is how you get to edit your actual listing. So over here in the business info, you can edit, and that'll lead us into the slides where we're at. So let's jump back. Okay, so now we're on the screen where we were just before, and entering in your basic information. So the idea here is that your company name, the title of your business listing, and in this case, in the picture here, it's Perry & Co. Realty. What you want to do is, and Google have actually got a little bit more strict over the last 6 months, since late last year anyway, on listings conforming to the Google local guidelines. Now, I suggest that you read the Google local guidelines, and I'm sure that we can post a link to that. I can go and fish that out for you. It's an interesting read. They are actually getting very, very picky with what you actually put into your local listing. Too many people have been, I guess you could say, not spamming, but seeding their local listing with keyword stuffing and a whole lot of little tricks like that, and Google are trying to cut down on that because it is actually affecting the results. So in the case of this business title, Perry & Co. Realty near Pembroke Point, if that's the title of the business name itself, if that is the actual business name, then that's valid to put that in there. Ideally, you don't want to put the business name and then a couple of keywords in behind it. If that's not part of your business name, that's actually against the Google guidelines. You can do it, and you may get away with it, but I'm just warning you that they are cracking down. And if they reject your listing at any stage, they may suspend your account. At which point, all the effort that you've gone to putting into your listing and making it a legitimate source of income and revenue for your business, they'll suspend it, and you've basically got to start again and under a different account. There are ways and means about it, and we might talk about that towards later on in the presentation, when maybe even after Steve has done his little wrap up at the end. But there are new methods by which you can communicate with Google for places. It's similar to AdWords. It's actually called Google Boost, but obviously it's not free. It's a paid advertising mechanism. So also, what I've recently found out is that it's not a good idea to use PO boxes. It's actually against the Google guidelines to use PO boxes. So always use a real street address. Google are really cracking down on trying to clean up their database. So they've had their free-for-all period, and Google, it happens with just about every single event that goes on in Google. They have a free-for-all where everybody's making hay while the sun is shining, and then they start to tighten the screws down. And we're heading into that period now where they're doing a mass cleanup. So it's good to get it right in the first place so that you don't get affected later on. Of course, being able to edit your Google local listing means that as long as you haven't been suspended yet, or your listing hasn't been rejected, you have an opportunity to constantly change it and try to make it better. And that's why I like it so much, because we have this control. So as far as your company and organization, street address, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure that you put your website in there. That's one of the big driving factors, is that you get a link back to your website and it's all integrated. Down in the descriptions, once again with the descriptions, this is a bit of a grey area in the descriptions. My only point I want to mention to you is try not to put too many repeated keywords in. Keep it, they use the word semantic. Keep it just normal everyday sentence structure. Try not to get too tricky with throwing in a whole bunch of keywords with commas. So in the case of this listing that we've got here, this little the business names mentioned again, and a couple of suburbs in here. Having a read of the Google guidelines and just being wary of how strict they're going to get, they may or may not like having the yeah. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve, for highlighting that. They may or may not like having those individual suburbs put in there. Google like to think that they can provide the right suburbs for you. So keeping descriptions very sentence-based and neat and tidy. It's hard to describe a business and not use the keywords that you're going for. So if you're a plumbing business, or in the case of this real estate business, it's hard not to use words that describe what the business does in a description. It's crazy, I know, but just bear that in mind. You must have one category, the top category, and I recommend that on that first category that as you're typing in the main category of what the business does, that Google will present to you with a list of options to pick from. So if you're a real estate agency, or if you are a plumber, or if you are whatever you are, you just start typing that in as close to what it is that you do. Google will offer you some suggestions, and from those suggestions, then you can pick from the list. And I always recommend that the first category that you choose, you have to pick from the list that Google provide to you. You've got up to 5 categories you can put in, and once you've done that first category, then on the subsequent categories underneath that, you can put in custom categories if you wish. That's pretty self-explanatory. I just wanted to mention those: description and the first category. You will see by looking at your competitors' Google listings how they are adjusting their categories and what categories they've decided, and they may not be right either. Just because they were there before you and they are in your industry, they may not have chosen the correct categories. So just use it as a bit of a sounding board. Don't take it as, oh, these are the categories. Right, let's move on. We've spoken about this one. We've even spoken about researching competitor categories. Down in the additional listings, when you get down to the additional listings, this is where you can enter in more pertinent information about the business that normally isn't in the rest of the listing. So as you can see here in this example, we've actually added in, or this has been added in, not lots, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional details. If I a bit later on we might show another listing. It's information that's related to the business that you can't really speak about in the description and in the categories. So it is important, and I would put probably anywhere from 4 to 6 of those guys in there. Now we get to my favorite, photos and videos. If you don't currently have videos for your business on the internet, then you need to get videos for your business on the internet. It's pretty simple. It's that simple. I suggest that you upload them to YouTube, and even if it's for the sole purpose of building out a little YouTube account and putting videos on your Google Places page, even if you do nothing else, putting up a few videos on YouTube using your business that the business Google account that we just created before, and creating a YouTube presence with your business name as the YouTube channel. I know this is going a little bit away from local listings, but it does loop back in. Get your videos onto YouTube and get them into your Places account, because you will be far and above your competition who don't have videos. And this is all about outranking, getting on top of, and staying on top of your competitors. So you're going to all the trouble of setting up a Places listing. It serves your purpose to make sure that it is completely filled out as much as possible. So if you've got photos of your business, and you should have photos of your business, make sure they get uploaded into your Places page, and definitely take the time Get some videos made if you haven't already got them made, and put them into your listing. Right, so we already spoke about optimizing your business name for adding in some keywords. While that has worked in the past, I would be wary of doing that. Just keep that in mind. Description, you can definitely use synonyms for different terms. So if it's time to hit the dictionary and look up like-minded words so that you're not repeating yourself and the description is nice and sentence-based. Categories, you have pretty well, you're restricted on the first category, as I said, but then the subsequent categories you can adjust as you need to. Images and videos, make sure that with your images that you call your images by the file name, but with the file name make sure it has a keyword in it, so that if you were a plumber in Brisbane, then you would call your images plumber Brisbane, and it might be whatever, front of the shop or something like that, .jpg, and then you would upload those. So you're trying to optimize everywhere you can. On your videos, make sure that your videos are optimized for your keyword that you're trying to rank for, and that's just a given that you would give your video a title of your keywords. So if you were doing a video for a Brisbane plumber, then you would make sure that plumber Brisbane was in the title of the video, in the description of the video, and in the tags of the video. And so you're trying to optimize everywhere you can to maximize those keywords that you've decided upon right at the very beginning, which is why we said you've got to do that research on the prime keywords that you're trying to target. And the bottom line is you can't have too much information in the business listing. The more the better. And once you do your research and you go through and you have a look at your competitors' listings, you'll see whether or not they have totally filled out their business listing or whether they've left it only very sparse. In which case, if you totally fill it out, then you're way ahead of them already. Now, once you've filled out all that initial information, and it doesn't take that long, you've got depends where you are in the world, and it depends on your account how you can verify your listing. Google need to prove that you are who you say you are, and that you belong to the company that you say you belong to, and that you are a real entity. So what they want to do is they want to verify by either giving you a phone call, using SMS, or sending you a postcard. And most recently, on a couple of new listings that I've created, is that only the postcard option has been available during that process, which is a real shame because postcards take sometimes 2 to 3 weeks to get out to you with a PIN number on it that you then have to enter back in to verify your listing. Previous to that, I always did phone-based, where you would get a simple phone call from Google. You'd say hello on the end of the line, and they would give you your PIN number, and you'd be done and dusted and on in Google Places in less than half an hour. Unfortunately, if you get stuck with only being able to do postcard-based verifying, you will have to wait the time that it takes Google to send it out to you in the mail, which is another reason why you must use the right address on your listing. Otherwise, it will get sent to the wrong address, and then you're in a whole new world of hurt because it's very hard to get that sorted out. And you've also got to wait another 2 weeks or 3 weeks for them to send it out. So that's quite a time shift. I showed you my screen and where I had a set of statistics up there, and that's how I monitor and refine my listings, is that I can log in to Google Places and I can see the stats, and I can see what keywords are triggering my Google local listing for showing up, and I can make small adjustments to that, trying to tweak it for those main terms that I'm after. The biggest thing is reviews, And Google are really pushing down this track now, where user reviews of businesses, they tell the real story. And it's up to you as the marketer of your business to work out the best way for you to get reviews on not only Google Places, but all the other online entities and properties that such as Yelp or other type of properties that take user-based feedback. It's up to you as marketer of your business to work out, okay, how can I best streamline my business to get those reviews? If you have a look at your competitors in your when you do your Google Places research, if you have a look at your competitors and you see that there's only a few reviews there, you've definitely got an ability to get on top of them, because getting reviews is easy if you have a few techniques to get them. It's something that you need to focus on. So once your listing is as optimized as it's going to get, and Google are making it harder for you to optimize it, as we discussed already, so your only port of call of things that you have ability to edit and create on your listing is the reviews. So when someone leaves you a review, and say for instance, let's use the example of a Brisbane-based plumber. If somebody leaves a review for that business, they should naturally be using the keywords that you would be targeting. They should naturally be using, they might mention their suburb, they might mention the work that they had done, they might mention, obviously they'll say if it's good or bad, but they'll be using the keywords that you're trying to optimize for naturally in the review. So the more reviews you can get, the more of those keywords are getting injected into your Places page without you having to do anything other than solicit those reviews. And I always tell my clients that this is the number one task that they have to do. This is essentially the new form of collecting testimonials, because that's all reviews are. They're just testimonials. And most businesses are in the habit of collecting testimonials, but it's just a slight shift in thinking to say, okay, well, written testimonials are still very valid and fantastic, but you also need to get yourself some online reviews. And it doesn't matter if they end up in TrueLocal. I think you've probably got TrueLocal in the United States, or Yelp or Places. It doesn't matter where they leave a review, as long as you're in control of the listing where they're leaving the review. So if they've left a review on TrueLocal, for example, then make sure that you've grabbed yourself your TrueLocal listing. It's exactly the same as a Google Places listing. You've got to claim what's yours. So go out there, try and find your listing in as many places, or create your listings in as many places as you can, so that they are under your banner and your umbrella, and they're not just floating out there in the internet. If you take possession of those accounts, then people leave reviews on those properties, then they will end up coming back into to the Google Places. Google's very smart. It knows what's out there. There's a section in Google for adding coupons. Big believer in coupons. Make sure that you put say 2 coupons in, and coupons do expire. It's not a good idea to put coupons that last for 12 months. Try to keep the idea behind the coupons is that you're constantly in your Places listing, changing things like coupons every couple of months, just trying to keep things fresh in your listing. And coupons are a good way to differentiate from your competitors who aren't offering coupons. Statistics we spoke about. I showed you that on one of my accounts. And website SEO is important. So I'll just quickly touch on this point. Earlier before Google Places was invented, they had just the Google Maps area, and then of course they had the standard organic SEO. Now they've merged. If you want to take a first place listing on Google Places, then you need to have been very diligent with your SEO, trying to get onto the first page with normal SEO techniques. So that's outside of the scope of this presentation, and I know that Steve has already discussed SEO in another creative search strategies presentation, so we won't go into that. But I will say that you cannot just do places in this day and age. You cannot just do your Google local listing and expect to get a good result. You need to have a holistic approach to your online presence for ranking on the first page of Google. You need to have a great SEO structure, which will then complement the places page and see you sitting in that either the first 7 results or at least in the top 3 is where you want to be. Business directories. This is a big one. We spoke about True Local, Yellow Pages. Over here in Australia, we don't have as many business directories as you guys do in the US or in other parts of the world, but they're out there. So if you type in into Google plumber and then directories, these are specific industry directories. The objective of your Google Places page is effectively thinking of it as a mini website. It is its own little website, it's its own little web page. And just as you would with optimizing your own website for search engine optimization, where you would go and get backlinks to your website on other people's websites to try and build up your authority, the same applies for your Google Places page. There are many ways for you to get links that come back to your Places page, but by and far the biggest method is to use citations. So business directories give you the ability to get a citation, and a citation is essentially, for Places, it's the form of a backlink. It's where a citation is where a website has mentioned your company and have included your address and phone number. Effectively, there's no link that leads back to your website, but it is as far as Google is concerned, it's a tick that you are who you say you are, because another website has referenced you. It's referenced your business name, and it's referenced your business address and phone number. And that is why it is important to get your business name right in the beginning without too much keyword injecting going on, because ideally the only way for Google to find citations is if they equal what you've entered into your Places listing. So anytime that you have a Places listing, you want to go off and get as many citations as you can using the same business name that you used in the Places listing, the same address that you used in the Places listing, the same phone number that you used in the Places listing. And of course, if you can get a link from a business directory or a website, great. That's just an extra link back to your website. But it's that citation that's important. And Google, it is just a software robot. It will only know that that citation is valid if those 3 things equal up: business title, business description, and a phone number. So if you are prone to changing your business address, then getting citations is not a good use of your time, because obviously if your business address changes, all those citations that you collect off the internet, they're no longer going to be available once you change your business address. Let's keep moving on. Okay, citations, I just mentioned that. Every time that you can go out to a website, and the best thing to do to get started with this process, have a look at your competitors again. It comes back to that research. Look at what your competitors have in their Places listing, because when you go to your Places listing, they actually have Google lists websites that are referencing that business. So you can have a look at all of your competitors and see what websites, this is actually inside their places listing, you can see what websites are referencing them. And then you go to those websites and you see if you can also be referenced from those same websites. Because that's a business directory is not going to care that they're promoting one guy and then they come across and promote you as well. And that's the objective, is to get your reference of your business in as many directories, in as many business centers on the internet as possible. So your True Locals, Yellow Pages, the list goes on, Yelp, there's plenty of others. In Australia, I have a spreadsheet of directories that I use for my clients, and at the moment, generic business directories, there's probably about 30 there that I can create citations and get links to my website from those generic directories. Then if I type in the actual business industry, so it might be dentists or plumbers, and then add the word directory after it into Google, then up will come a lot of individual industry-based directories that you can also go and attract a link and get a citation from. Takes a bit of work, takes a bit of time, and that's why most businesses secure the services of somebody such as Steve or myself to do that work, and perhaps even you listening on this call. But that's the objective, is to get as many citations as you can. That pretty much ends what I had to speak about today. Steve is going to do a little bit more on this call, but this is how you can get in contact with me if you want to. I don't know if any of you guys are in Australia. If you are, give me a call on that phone number. If you're not, that phone number's not going to work outside of Australia. But I've got my email address there, and my Twitter detail is there as well. What we might do is I might flick back over to Steve. If at the end of Steve's presentation we might do a little Q&A if we've got some time, and also I can always give you some tips at the end too on how to get reviews, how best to get reviews. I've got plenty of tips on getting reviews, which I think is the biggest, short of the citations and getting directory listings and backlinks to your sites. Reviews is the biggest place where you should spend the most of your time. But anyway, I might just hand that back over to Steve. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. God, there's so much information there for everybody who hasn't yet claimed a listing, or maybe they have and they just didn't think about all of the keyword pieces, all of the citations and categories. I mean, that was great, and I hope everybody here took good notes, because I think there's definitely some valuable information, especially as you mentioned, Google's terms and conditions. They really are. I'm seeing this more and more every day as I'm analyzing some of my clients who have multiple facilities. It's really easy to see the impact of this new, let's call it the OPAC. It used to be, we used to call it the 7-pack, because there were 7 listings that would show up in Google search results. And now that they've integrated it, I think David Mim, who's a local search expert, is calling it the OPAC. So there's a lot of what we see in normal natural search coming into play. So we can't really game the system anymore when it comes to maps. There's best practices, and there's ways to really find out what your competitors are doing and to keep up with what they're doing. But trying to game the system, spam with extra keywords, have multiple listings, those days are over. So thank you again. I'm gonna jump into to some more local search. That was a specific walkthrough of how to claim and optimize your local listing in Google Places. Today I'm gonna go through a few other exercises. So thank you guys again. Really quick, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay before I maximize the screen here. Hey Jared, thanks for jumping in. Saw that you came in. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and maximize my screen here. And what I have here, I call this my 30,000 foot view. I didn't want to just have a billion bullets showing up. So what we'll do is I'll go through and let's make sure that my slide's working. There it goes. So the first thing is, as Aaron mentioned earlier, with places, data syndication and synchronization, extremely important. Again, I'm not going to go through every single bullet, but here's some things, and you'll have access to the slide later, that you can do to make sure that your data is syndicated. There's a list at a site called ubl.org, or Universal Business Listing, that lists just about every common business directory that exists for local businesses. Now, a lot of service providers such as Yodel or Local Splash or 29 Prime, a lot of these really great agencies that do some of the management for companies that can't afford to, will pull in all of your data and put it into sort of a spreadsheet, right, or a database. And what they'll do is they'll create sort of a list, call it a data feed, if you will, and they'll send that data feed out to a lot of destinations, on your company's behalf. So it keeps the data, synced pretty well. When you do this manually, you just have to be careful in ensuring that your phone number, that your address, that your all your information is to par. It's the same across the board, and that means street instead of ST. However you have it set up in your Google Places, that is exactly how you want to have it set up on these destinations, as Aaron mentioned earlier. So additional places, Google Places, Yahoo Local, Bing Local, you're going to want to do those manually. If you do decide to outsource that, keep in mind you no longer have control over that listing. You can't log in and add coupons and make changes. So if you do decide to outsource that, just bear that in mind. Your city directory. Now what this means is when you go to Google and you type in, we'll just say I'm in Anaheim here in orange. Just type in Anaheim and directory, and you'll find a lot of Anaheim business directories, and Anaheim tourist directories, and Anaheim small business directories, Anaheim entrepreneur directories. There's so many different opportunities for you to list your business where it relates to your geographic area. And there's also ways to do this. I'm going to skip to the next one and come back to it. Your industry directory. Aaron mentioned earlier, plumber directory. You can do plumbers directory, plumber directory. You can also do plumber association and business association, whatever your business happens to be. There's so many different ways that you can get yourself listed online. Just bear in mind the data for your business has to be synced for Google to recognize that as a citation. So BBB and Chambers, we're doing a lot of research on this, and two different things that I uncovered over the last few days. I actually did a little exercise with one of my clients. We went through about 16 rows of specific local SEO things, and one of them was to look at our BBB and our Chambers listing, and almost immediately after getting our Better Business Bureau listing, we were able to see an increase in 3 to 4 positions for our maps new hybrid local maps listing in Google. So it was pretty exciting to see how powerful a trusted citation like the Better Business Bureau can be. And it doesn't cost more than a few $100s. If you list your business as one employee, if you're a small business and you just list yourself as one employee, it can be less than $500. It's very affordable. Domain registrar. So here's something that I've also been researching. And when you register your domain, it asks you, do you want to use privacy? It asks you if you what your contact information is. If you decide to use your business data, that business data is crawlable and searchable. In fact, Google is a registrar, and they have access to all that information. Now, the hearsay on the internet is that Google doesn't crawl or use or do anything with that information, but in my thinking, it's still a database. There's still a key that connects to that database. And so if you have your business data synced in your domain registrar as you would on any of your citations, it gives another level of credibility. And on another note, earlier we mentioned having your a unique Google account. You can bypass some of the possibilities of having a postcard mailed to you if you register your Google account with the domain name of your website. So if your website's already associated with a Google listing, you're going to want to claim it and go through all the exercise that we went through a few minutes ago. But if you're just now getting into Google Local, right, one of the things that you can do right away is make sure that you've got your name or admin. We'll just say admin because I don't want to give away your personal email, but admin@yourdomain.com. Register your Google account with that email address. Then sign up for Google Analytics. then sign up for Google Webmaster Tools. After you've done both of those things and you've verified with Google that that's your website, that's your domain, you've claimed it with your analytics and verified it with Google Webmaster Tools, then you go into your Google Places account after you've done that little exercise, and there's a 90% chance that they're just going to want to do the phone verification. You won't have to wait out that 2 weeks. So again, this is something else that we've been sort of experimenting with to try to understand how to bypass some of that postcard process. So just something to think about. Now, if you have multiple facilities, it gets a little more complicated. We should do an advanced series. Probably the second in the second round of our CSS, we'll do an advanced local search. So if you have multiple facilities, we'll show you how you can claim those facilities and do a good job. Next one, see competitor citations. There is an earlier slide that you can watch again later that shows you how to go out, click on edit next to a competitor's listing and go right in to see what their categories are. What I would recommend doing is doing this with maybe 20 or 30 competitors and maybe using, I don't know, 3 or 4 of your main keywords. Meaning with plumber, it might be plumber, plumbing, plumbers, right? Plumbing service. Those are all important keywords. Grab all of those keywords and grab 10 to 20 of those competitors, go into edit, pick out what their categories are, catalog them, keep track of every single one of them, and then later on pull all that information together to do some simple math. The category that shows up the most frequently among those competitors is the one that you're going to want to make sure is your #1 category. And the sequencing of how you have your categories in Google Maps is equally important. I've seen in real time switching categories and immediately showing up higher, or if you weren't showing up at all, appearing now in the local search. So category is extremely important. See what your competitors are doing. Same thing with citations. There's multiple ways that you can find where your competitors are getting citations. You can do it the manual way, going to Google Places. There's a lot of tools that I've been experimenting with. If you go to my blog, SEOsteve.com, my most recent blog post as of today is actually specifically on local search, and it lists a few of them. One of it is a local citation finder. And basically, you pop in your competitor's phone number, you click submit, and it finds every single citation that your competitor has earned. And it gives you a little checkbox so that you can check off that you've got your listing there as well. Kind of exciting. So the next one, website optimization. So with website optimization, we're really talking about making sure that you have all of your business data on your website, exactly how you have it on your Places page. In fact, you might even link that address to your Google Places page, as another sort of confirmation to Google that yes, this is me. This website does correlate to my business and to my Places page. So make sure that your address, your phone number, and everything is exact. There's a new program that Google put out. Well, it's not really new, but it's definitely new to people who haven't really been doing local search, called Google Earth. And Google Earth is 1,000 times more visual and a lot more fun to use than Google Places and Google Maps. In fact, just when you install it the first time, you're probably going to do what I did, and that is zoom in to the Eiffel Tower or to Mount Rushmore and see all of the world almost in real time because it's satellite imagery. Now, when you're in Google Earth and you right-click on a location that you think is interesting, or your business location, you can save a file, right, called a KMZ file. You can actually save that KMZ file to your computer, and then you can upload it to your website. So when Google's crawling through your website, it's going to find this little data piece, and not only is it just business address, but because it's Google Earth, it uses longitude and latitude. What better way to tell Google that this is really me and this is really where I am? Not just my address, but my actual physical geographical location. So this KMZ file, really easy to get. Right click on your listing in Google Earth, save the file, upload it to your website, and then link to that file, right? And just say fly here on Google Earth. Real simple way to actually give more data to Google. Places has a page for each service. So I see a lot of this. There's websites that have homepage, services, about us, and contact, and that's it. On the services page, they'll list out some of the services that they do in like a nice little bullet list, and then they'll wonder why their competition is ranking higher than them. And so what we do as a local SEO exercise on the website is we'll take every list item in that services list and create a page for it. So Google will get to the services page, they'll crawl through the link that lists the service. We'll call it plumbing services, right? Or professional plumbing services, perhaps. And so they'll crawl through that link. They'll read about specific plumbing services. Or perhaps it's another service might be I don't know, pipe repair, right? Or flood repair, flood damage. Either way, Google's going to crawl through that link. It's going to hit a page that talks about what you do, hopefully 400 or 500 words, more about what you do, and maybe some pictures, maybe even a video that shows exactly what you do and adds that credibility. It's great content for the users. They're going to find that page in the search result when they do a search specifically for flood damage or whatever that keyword happens to be. Google's going to crawl through that page and give it more credibility. So when you put in your places page that I do pipe repair or plumbing repair or water damage, it's going to know and verify that on your website that you actually do it. HCard micro formats, another kind of technical thing you can play around with. It's basically a way of giving customers a business card for your website. They get your website and it says, here's where I am, here's who I am, and the coding is called micro format. And so it's a structured little data section on your website that you can add. It's pretty easy to do. Just do a search for add HCard, and it'll actually show you how to do it. You enter in your information, you click submit, gives you the code, you paste it on your website, and you're done. Really simple. You definitely want to give it to your webmaster to make it look presentable as well. So has links to search citations. We've also seen this in the local search industry. We've noticed a lot of businesses, when you have a profile page or you have your own website and you want to show people how credible you are, you'll link out and say, look, here's our places page, here's our merchant circle listing, here's our rated all listing, here's our ranking in Zagat, here's our Yelp, right? And you list those out on a page of your website. So as Google crawls through, it gives them a way to validate that that's you, that's your business data, and that, oh, those are citations, right? It gives them another way to hit those citation pages quickly. So linking out to a few of them, you don't have to link to all of them. You know the big ones, right? They're Google, Yahoo, Bing, Yelp. So if you haven't heard of it, it's probably not a big directory. Next one. Privacy policy, super important. This will help you with your paid search as well. If you're bidding on anything in the paid search results or in AdWords, having a privacy policy basically tells Google you're collecting information from the person who gets to your website, but you have a policy on what you're doing with that information. So that can improve not just your local SEO, but also improve your quality score in your paid search. So just something to think about. Loads quickly and has link bait. Now that's kind of almost like its own webinar in its own. But having your site load quick is important, because if the user gets to your website and it takes too long to load, what are they going to do? They're going to bounce back to Google, choose a different search result. Google's going to record that activity and basically give you a demerit. Link bait is a way to convince people who get to your website to want to share content on your website. And that could be you just having tutorials or training. It could be something comical. It can be something controversial. It could be free downloads. It can be free software. It could be coupons, daily deals, offers, anything that's going to convince somebody who gets to that page to say, oh my God, I have to share this, is link bait. So be thinking about what you can give away for free that people would want to link to. Professional, not from 1998. Unfortunately, local businesses don't have a lot of budget to optimize their websites. There are plenty of providers out there that can do a great job with a WordPress-based platform, which anybody can use. My wife uses one for our daughter's softball team. So WordPress is a very simple platform to use. It doesn't have to be used for blogging. It's great if you can blog, but it's a great way that you can do that. Now, a WordPress theme is about a fraction of the cost of what a custom website would be. So you could go out to a site like 99 Designs, 99designs.com, and you can actually have people compete to try to give you the best design. And then you take that design, and I think they even have a system set up where they automatically convert it to a WordPress theme for you. So as long as you have WordPress installed, which any college student can do for you on your website, you basically just click install theme. Once you have the custom theme that you had built, and within a day or two, you've got a nice, beautiful, professional looking website for less than $500. Title and meta are optimized. So I mentioned earlier on your services page, you're going to have a bullet list of all the different services that you offer. Every single one of those pages should have a custom title and meta description. If you do a search in Google for title tag principles, you'll find a listing that invokes those principles and talks about what they are, and that is making sure that you have a call to action: buy, purchase, order, download, read, book, reserve. Right, those are all call to actions. The key word that you're optimizing for: plumbing, plumbing service, plumber, plumbers, and then some type of value proposition. In business 10 years, free shipping, anything that you could think of that would convince somebody who sees your listing in Google to want to click on it. If it just says company name, and here's who we are, it's not really going to convince someone that you're a better listing than your competition. And having a higher click rate in the Google search results will move you up, especially now that organic is a big part of what we're doing in local. And the third piece, at the 30,000 foot view, we mentioned having our data synced, our website optimized. One thing I didn't mention really quick on the website optimization part is think about, if you only have one facility, getting your business address listed in your homepage description. Really important. Google will see that right away, and so will the users who are in Google know that you're really a local business, not somebody in another state trying to market, with fake locations. Reviews and ratings. So this is where we're getting into a lot of some of the new technology. Reviews and ratings. Aaron mentioned earlier several different ways that you can do that, not just in Google Places, which is very important, but also in all those other destinations like Yelp and so forth, and having them be authentic. I wanted to type in earlier on the slide, great service, I loved it, is not a good review. To me, that's spammy, and somebody who is possibly just asking for people to review them so they can give them discounts. It's great to give discounts to people who give you great testimonials. Do it after they do. It's kind of a good practice, but always ask them. Mention what it was that we did well. Mention who you talked to, who you worked with, what you liked the best, what service you'll use next time, or what you'll try next time if you went to our restaurant. Those sort of things are more authentic, and over time will help more than anything else. So RatePoint is this tool that allows you to do reviews on your website. I'm not sure what the current pricing is, but you can actually, when you go to a website, it says review us, and it allows you to basically handhold all of those reviews and moderate them, so you have a lot more control over what people are saying about you, and a lot of those reviews will show up in search results. So postcard to receipts is something that you can do. Is when you give somebody a receipt, just staple a little postcard to it. It says, let us know how we did. Right? And you can put a teaser in there that we reward testimonials. Bring in your review with you when you come back. Be it positive, neutral, negative, whatever. Bring in your review, print it out, and we'll we have a special thank you for you. Email review requests. Same thing when somebody comes in, a new client comes in, if they're able to fill out a card and give you their email address right away, first thing you should do is, how did we do? Do a survey, and at the end of the survey, say, did we earn a positive review on Google or on Yelp? If so, click here to add your review, and it takes them right to that page. Diversified destinations. There's thousands of places you can get reviews. The more the better. Where I'm seeing a lot of reviews showing up for restaurants right now, I'm seeing a lot of what's the one? There's Zagat. There's also something Spoon. I can't remember the name of it. It's an app. We'll go through it here in a minute. Actually, you can see a lot of the screenshots here of the different places that you can get reviews. Rate It All is also a place. RateItAll.com is a place you can get reviews. And so if you break it up a little bit on your receipts and on your emails and say review us here and review us there, it does give your testimonials a lot more authenticity. So 4 stars is fine. If you don't get 5 stars, that's okay. If you have all 5 stars, it's kind of like a big red flag to the search engines and to other people that you might be trying to game the system with reviews. So you want a couple 4 stars, you want a few 3 stars, maybe even a 2 star. It says, this wasn't for me. The other people went here. I liked. They liked it. They had a good experience, but it just wasn't my thing. That's okay. Overall, we just want to look as authentic and as real, as useful as possible. People are going to read the reviews. They're going to know. They're going to know if somebody posts a review that they didn't enjoy their experience. That's not going to discourage somebody from going. It's going to make them, that perhaps it has something to do with kids, or it has something to do with time of day. Hey, this didn't work for me because of my work schedule. That's fine. But it's just really important to make sure it's authentic. And be careful hiring third parties. A lot of third parties now will say, hey, we're going to syndicate your review across thousands of review sites for you, right? And as exciting as that sounds, some of them leave a footprint, right? Review syndicated by, and they'll leave the company name. And that little footprint later on could be something that penalizes you. So just be very careful when you're using a third party to distribute your reviews. City Search is using new fields now. There's this new technology. It's not really new in the sense of the last couple years. RDFA, if you want to do a search for RDFA technology, and what it allows you to do, I mentioned earlier microformats, allows you to put some code on your website that has additional details. And only so many people or so many businesses have been allowed into Google's program. They call it Rich Snippets. Among them are CitySearch, Yelp, and a couple other BBB, the Better Business Bureau. So they can actually put in additional fields that will show up. So now in some of the listings, you'll actually see not just 6 reviews on CitySearch, but you'll see CitySearch, you'll say quality of service, cost, and a few other fields actually show up in your listing that were syndicated from CitySearch. So super important to think about. CitySearch is definitely a good place to get your reviews. Have an appreciation party is a great way to get clients to come in and party with you, and have a monitor, and a computer set up so that people, while they're there, they can go over and submit a review, and you can give them a raffle card for a free drink or something for submitting a review. And always ask. If you're not asking for a review, it's just a waste. There's this new system now, we'll talk about in a minute, that is going to be really important to what you're doing with your reviews and with your local places. So here's what's kind of new with 2011, and I'll just highlight this here. Basically, there's these things called apps, and a lot of you are using them on your iPhones. A lot of you are using them on your Droids. Really critical way to not just get new business, but to continue to syndicate your business information, across the web, and incentivize people to want to come back to your business. GoWalla is a great way to say, hey, I'm at a Thai restaurant right now, and it says your friend Joe was just here 2 days ago, and he says try the Thai iced tea, right? Same thing on Facebook, right? You can tie in your Facebook to your business and actually have a Facebook page that lists your business information, right? And coupons and offers and promos. Foursquare has a great way that you can offer people who patronize your business more than once a mayorship and give them free appetizers. I got a free appetizer at Chili's last month just for checking in while I was at Chili's. So kind of exciting. Let's move on to the next one here. So Google Hotpot is the newest, baddest, coolest thing on the internet right now. I did this recent blog post, and even though my image came in a little bit blurry here, it's sort of Scott Pilgrim versus the world. Google Hotpot is their answer to Yelp and Foursquare and CitySearch. Right now, we're still seeing all of those different destinations showing up as citations and as reviews in the local hybrid organic listings. But what we're noticing because of this new Hotpot system is that there's a much more authentic, I don't know the word I want to use. It's actually real-time reviews. So when you go check in with Foursquare, I have my phone right here. When you check in with Foursquare, I can check in to the Starbucks across the street right now. Not really authentic, right? I can lie and say, yeah, I'm at Starbucks, and post a review if I wanted to, or write something up. In fact, on Foursquare, you really can't post a business review that would get syndicated with that. You just check in and you're done, right? Now with Google Hotpot, let me get into this here. It gets really interesting. With Google Hotpot, it's a little bit different. It's still a social network. It's still like Foursquare. It's still like Yelp. It's still like GoWalla. Very similar to what all these things offer. But it's got something brand new. It ties in your Google Latitude, so it's actually detecting where you are because it's tied into Google Latitude. It's got the GPS on it, so you can share with people, and Google knows because it's tracking you down with GPS exactly where you are, which is pretty exciting. Let me see if I listed it here. I didn't. Here. Okay, cool. So here's the Hotpot, and it shows you the reviews just as you would see it on Yelp or anywhere else. But it also does something else. Alright, so it shows your reviews from your Google Places in real time. So I mentioned my phone earlier. When I go, and I think I have a screenshot here in a minute, when I go to a location, I can actually log into my, depending on what phone I'm using, Nexus S has it, this new technology, it's called Near Field Communication. Not only does it detect where I am, but it detects where the business is. So the business will put up, a flyer on the window, a little placard on the window, and it'll have a barcode on it. And I can just walk right up and snap a picture of that barcode, and it basically sends that picture through to my Google Latitude into Google Places, and it says I'm really there. I'm really checking into the location right now. And I can post a review, and it's going to show up almost in real time in my Google Places. So you can imagine in the course of a day, you could probably get 50 to 100 reviews for people who have a smartphone with that NFC technology, and be getting just hundreds of reviews instantly from a smartphone. So here's an example, a screenshot of what I mentioned earlier, where you're seeing TripAdvisor, Yelp. You're actually seeing those citations appear. And Google Places, same thing. So it's showing in real time when you do have reviews. So eventually these other destinations may go away. I don't know if they will or not, but if they do, let's hope that you have enough Google Places reviews from a authenticated system like using your Google Latitude on your phone, so it makes a difference. And here's what I mentioned earlier, the QR. All right, and so here's kind of how it works and how it all comes together. So there's that map I mentioned earlier where to basically walk up to the window, and there's a pin and there's a little barcode. And so you'll snap a picture of that barcode, and it'll instantly know that you're there. And I can't remember, I think it's quick response is what QR is, something like that. So basically, as I mentioned, you can just go snap a picture, and you can do this now with books and all sorts of things. You just snap a picture, and it automatically pulls in information from a database and tells you where it is that you are, or something about the business or the book or anything that has that QR code. So super exciting. This is what makes Google Places, Google Hotpot stand out from Yelp and Foursquare and all of the other services, is because it works with Latitude, with the business listing. So if you don't have this on your store, on your window, you want to get that put on there as quickly as possible. Just go to your Google Places. When you're looking at your analytics, right within your analytics, you should see on the right hand side the share your places. I'm going to highlight it again so you can see it. This section is actually in your Google Places account. This is where you can print out your QR poster, and again, just tape it to your window, and people will check in real time. And hopefully, while they're there, you can ask them, hey, if you checked in, let us know while you're having your lunch or your dinner, or your when you leave, let us know how you did, since you just really checked in here. You didn't say you checked in, you really checked in. It does add some more authenticity. Okay, so aside from the NFC technology, what's the difference? Well, Foursquare has tips. Those tips don't appear in the Google search results, at least not with the new local integrated search results. You may see it on page 3 or 4, as a mention, but it's not going to be part of what influences your rank in search. A Yelp review can only be a draft on your computer, on your phone, if you're mobile, and you have to get behind your computer later on and do it. Whereas when I mentioned earlier, when you check in on Places in Latitude, you can put your review in, click submit, and you're done, and it's instantly improving your ranking. Hotpot allows you to review in real time. I just mentioned that. And it's part of your Google account, and it may influence other Google services. So that's again, if you're verified as a business and you've got those reviews, you're going to start seeing those reviews show up other places. I'm seeing reviews now starting to show up in paid search results in AdWords. If you use extensions in AdWords and you pull in your business data, it's going to show those reviews. So there's so many different places now that we can see Hotpot syndicating that information out and working with all of the other Google products. So, mobile apps. I keep showing my phone. I've got this really old Droid. You're probably all laughing at me. Pretty soon I'll probably upgrade to the iPhone 4 or something. We'll see. But apps are super important to what you're doing. People are using them. I'm using Yelp. I'm using Foursquare. I'm using Google Hotpot. And so here I just mentioned typically the higher business ranks in a program, the more frequently it gets spidered and crawled by the search engine. So if you're encouraging your users to use the Foursquares and the Zagats and the Yelp and all of the other apps that are out there, you're going to get more mentioned. You're going to get crawled more frequently. So definitely consider, when you're setting up your local business situation, if you will, when you register yourself at Yelp and you register yourself at Foursquare, make sure your business data is there synced exactly how it should be, and encourage your users, to talk about you. And the more they do, the more you'll increase the crawl rate to your website and to your listing. Get reviews from influential users. So here's something that you can do. Again, the higher you place in Yelp, the more you get crawled by the search engines, right? Those pages that are more up in the front of Yelp and those other destinations will get crawled by the search engines at a much higher frequency, right? Because more people are using them and those pages get linked to more. So if you can get influential users, maybe reach out to somebody who's been to one of your competitors and say, I would love to have you come in and do a review of our restaurant. Your reviews are great. We really appreciate all that you do. That you don't have to bribe them, just ask them really politely. Say, we can't tell you how much we would appreciate you coming in and checking us out. And maybe they'll respond and they'll say, great, can I have a coupon? Sure. But if you try to incentivize them, it could result in you getting banned or penalized. So be real careful in doing that. Influential users aren't hard to find. Just go out, do a search in the network, and you can pick up on how many reviews those users have done. So and this should come from many networks. I mentioned this earlier. Aaron mentioned it. Not just places, but City Search, Yelp, etc. Encourage and incentivize bookmarking and adding as a favorite. So this is something that a lot of people don't think about with their customers. Is if we did a good job, the testimonials are great, but link to us. If you're in your Facebook, in your Twitter, whatever, and you're telling people where you are, give us some attribution and say, hey, I was just here. Here's the menu. You can see what I ordered. I really like this. Check it out, and whatever. As long as you can convince them to bookmark and share your website, it's going to create a natural linking campaign for you. So link to the profile page from the business website. I mentioned this earlier on the on-page SEO piece. Is if you have a business address and you link out to your places page, it's just another level of validation of your business address to places. So it's something that could influence ranking. I don't really have any evidence to prove it. I do know that we have made those changes over the last several months, and we've noticed an impact. Overall, we've noticed an impact. So offer loss leader promotions. Attribution, I put here, attribution is still low enough at this point, so you're not going to have to worry about giving away your store. There aren't hundreds of thousands of people that are going to rush in like a Groupon and just totally rape your business for products. It's just not going to happen. It's okay right now in your Google Hotpot and these other places to give some stuff away. It really is. If you see it start to pick up, expire the offer. But in the beginning, it's a great way. It's a great way to pull in some people who are using those networks, who are technically savvy enough to get in there. It's a great way to really build your profile up. So consider doing that, and consider make it a loss leader where if they came in and they just got the free cup of coffee. Okay, well, at least I got a client out of it, and hopefully they'll come back. And while they're there, I'm going to give them the postcard, and I'm going to give them a coupon to come back again. And I'm going to capture their business and their loyalty. So you got to do that right now. You might not be able to do this in a year from now. So while you have the opportunity, do it. I say in a year from now because you might have that flood, and it may take your whole business down if you give away too much. But now there's not that many people on there, so go for it. And so that's pretty much the wrap up, the 30,000 foot view. I would like to thank some of the companies who've helped me put this together, who've inspired me to really learn more about the different aspects to local search and to reputation and the influence of public relations. Lisa Porter is actually on our webinar today. Thank you for joining us today, Lisa. She's from Porter PR. So definitely one of the most influential ways that you can get the most traffic to your website today is having a public relations person get you listed in a national publication or even an industry publication. Is a great way, not just for the people who read the magazine, but those magazines all have websites. So the more PR you get, the better. So thank you for being here today. Anyway, so I'll give you my contact info if you want to reach me. You can. There's some background on me here in a second. Oh, I think I didn't even put my attribution in here. I'm easy enough to find. Just do a search for SEO expert. I think I'm kind of all over the place. So thank you guys all. What we're going to do is open the floor up for Q&A. If you have something for Aaron or for myself, I'm going to go ahead and unlock this view and restore and open up chat. So feel free to ask away. Any questions that you might have about local maps or claiming. Again, I'll probably do an advanced session on multiple facilities, but for now, go ahead and let me know what you think and what questions you might have, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. Anyone? It's all quiet on the front. I see tumbleweeds floating through our chat box at the moment. So, okay, well, if there's not any questions, what we'll go ahead and do is, oh, wait, there's one. Do you want to mention, oh, right, great point. So I did mention it in a recent blog post, but when I put this presentation together, I didn't really have an opportunity to talk about it. There's this brand new thing called Boost, right? Google Boost, and maybe I can share my screen here in a second. You know what? I didn't set up the app to do that. So what I'll do is I'll talk about it. So there's a couple of different ways to advertise in Google Places, right? The free way that we mentioned earlier is to just claim your listing, optimize it so you get better placement, and you know, try to enhance your categories. Then there's two paid ways that you can do that. That you can also get more visibility in those engines. One is tags. You can add a tag. We mentioned videos earlier. You can add a tag to show recent videos. You can add a tag to show your coupons, and those tags are pretty cheap. I think I was paying like $25 a month to have a tag that put a little you know, yellow tag under my listing in the search results, which may convince somebody who sees 5 different choices to choose me because I actually have a little sort of an eyesore that they can see and click on. The other way is this new thing called Boost. Now, Boost is very similar to AdWords. You basically set a budget, whatever that budget happens to be, whatever you decide it's going to be. You basically set a budget and you say, you know, here's my business listing. Here's what I'm willing to pay. And Google's going to, based on your information and based on what it thinks of your business, it's going to pick your keywords for you. It's a little more restrictive than Google AdWords because in AdWords you can choose exactly which keywords you'd like to rank for. But the advantage is you get a cute little blue pin that shows up right next to your ad, right next to your address. Right next to your reviews, you'll see that blue pin. So all the other pins in the map are red, 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 and then there's this one little blue pin that stands out. And 2 days ago, one of my clients saw an unbelievable conversion rate from that one little blue pin. So if you've got a budget for it and you are willing to take a risk, now keep in mind my client didn't get to choose his keywords and he got a lot of his budget, in fact like $300 over a couple days went away, or just disappeared for people who did general searches for keywords that weren't specific. So it was still in his industry, still in his niche, but there were a lot of searches you know, that he paid for probably from that visibility that weren't people looking specifically for him. So be very careful with it, but it may be a great tool for you to use. So give it a shot and see what it does for you. It's called Google Boost. When you log into your Google Places account, you'll see tags. You'll also see a little ad that says try a Boost ad, and you know, give it a shot and see what it does for you. How do you deal with a company that has multiple offices or caters to multiple cities? So I mentioned earlier that I would try to do a session specifically on advanced local search. Now, multiple facilities, you're going to want to create a places page for every single facility. You may still use your one main Google account if all of your facilities are you know, hosted on one website. So here's our website, companyaa.com, and companyaa.com has 20 facilities. In your Google Places, it's very important to try to you know, link specifically to that facility page, and that facility page needs to have all the same on-page SEO that we mentioned before: exact verbatim address, business name, phone number, everything exactly as we have it on those citations. And when you're building those citations, you're going to want to do a citation for every single facility and link to that facility page. So just something to consider. So again, you want to have a facility page on your website for every single location, and you want to have a Google Places and other citations, you know, pointing to that facility page, and that should help you move up. Let's see. Great question, by the way. It's still not worldwide. Yeah, that's a good point. Aaron made a good point a minute ago that Boost and some of these new products aren't worldwide. In fact, I'm still seeing the 7-pack of local search results show up in Google in some places instead of the universal. So it's still kind of, I can see them still kind of playing around with it. Next one. Yep. So yeah, the plan is, as Aaron mentioned a minute ago, is to roll that out to everyone. So hopefully Boost will be, you know, prominent soon. Any other questions on local? And again, thank you all for participating. I know you have other things to do with your time, and hopefully the strategies and the 30,000-foot view of local search give you an idea, or at least a few actionable items that you can take home right now. Hopefully you'll start with the most important, that is claiming your listing. That's why we started with that track specifically to talk about the importance of making sure that you own your listing and don't have to worry about a competitor grabbing it from you, and controlling your reviews, and again, trying to get those testimonials is super important. Do you have an example of a coupon on Places? You know what, I should. In fact, you know what I'll do, after the workshop, what we'll do is we'll send out a link to everybody with where they can find this presentation, and I'll try to include some examples for everyone so that you can see some real samples of what a coupon might look like or how to use it. Or you can just log into your own Places account. If you haven't registered yet, go ahead and claim your place. When you're in there, there's a section that just says coupons. It's up on the upper right, and you can just add a coupon, and it's super simple. Yes, yeah, I'll make sure that everybody has a copy of the presentation after the fact. Yep. Let's see. Aaron says just offer something really worthwhile. That's true. That's I couldn't have said that better. Well, again, well, thank you all for participating today, and I do hope that you'll spend a few minutes after the presentation and fill out our survey. Let us know how we did, what we can improve on. If you'd like to attend future sessions in the future with us, one thing that we're doing is we're definitely giving out thank yous, and some of those are free access passes. If you go through and just list a few things that you learned on your blog, and then send us a link, we'll happily send you some promo codes to a few future events. And the next one we had planned to do Wednesday and Thursday, but one of the people who are planning to participate had to move to next week. So this week's workshops are going to move to next week. So next week we're going to be doing social media marketing and paid search basics. So for somebody who's set up an AdWords account but hasn't had a good experience with it, or hasn't set up an AdWords or Microsoft account, we're going to go through some best practices on how to do it without throwing away a lot of money. And then Warren Whitlock will be joining us. He's the author of Twitter Revolution. And so he'll be talking about some really exciting things going on in the social marketing, social media field. So you don't want to miss that. So yes, we're definitely offering referral discounts. So send your referrals our way. We want to get as many people onto this series as possible. So thanks for the question. All right, guys, we're wrapping up. Thank you again for participating today, and I hope to see you next Wednesday for our paid search strategy.